Our next lesson is going to focus on the quadratic formula. Sometimes factoring won't work. Sometimes the square roots won't work. Sometimes completing the square won't work. Sometimes you just end up needing a formula so that you can get your answer in a possibly a quicker way, depending on if you memorize it. So go ahead and take these notes. Pause the video here so you can take your notes. Once you've written down the notes, the main thing is to memorize it. We're doing a lot of substitution here, so there can be many calculation errors. Let's apply this to number 1. If I subtract 20, I'll have put this in standard form, so that now I have 0 equals x squared minus 8x minus 20. Here is my a, which is, let me make that smaller. Here's my a, which is 1. Here is my b, which is negative 8. And here's my c, which is negative 20. So the formula, what I would suggest you do is rewrite the formula over and over and over again for every single problem so that you can start to memorize it. So I have x equals, right? Because I'm looking for my x-intercepts, my roots and my solutions. That is what the x is here. So I have negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. 4ac meaning you're multiplying it. Remember the b squared minus 4ac underneath the radical sign also represents the discriminant, so it can tell you how many solutions you'll have, all over 2 times a. So this equals negative 8 plus or minus square root of, in parentheses, negative 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 20, all over 2 times a, which is 1. I'm going to go ahead and simplify. Get a negative. I'm going to simplify this, which is a positive 8, plus or minus. I also know 8 squared is 64. I know that this part is going to be a plus 80, because 4 times 1 is 4, and then 4 times 20 is 80, so it's a positive 80, all over 2 times 1 in the denominator is 2. So once I've simplified it, you can see it here, what you have. But I can still simplify further. So I get my x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of, well, 64 plus 80 gives me 144. And I can take the square root of 144, and I'm going to get 12. So if you wanted to go immediately to writing 12, that's okay. But it's up to you. So since I'm running out of space here, it's 8 plus or minus 12. Now I have to do the math. I have an 8 plus 12 divided by 2, which gives me 20 divided by 2, 10. Or I have an 8 minus 12 divided by 2, which is a negative 4 over 2, negative 2. The intercepts are negative 2, comma 10. Could you have solved this problem in a different way? Absolutely. But it's up to you, right? What we're doing is practicing our formula. Go ahead and try number 2. Make sure it's in standard form, and then go from there. Pause the video here. Let's check our answers. You'll notice that for number 2, you will get a fraction. You get negative 9 over 2, comma 1. If you change the negative 9 over 2 to negative 4.5, that's okay too. Go ahead and pause the video and try question numbers 3 and 4 to get your practice in. Now that you're ready to check your answers for numbers 3 and 4, here you go. Pause the video so you can continue to check your answers. We're going to move on to different types where your answers are not going to be perfect integers, right? So again, get this in standard form. So we get 3x squared. Oh, if I add 3x squared, you're going to get a 6x squared minus 4x. We're also going to subtract 4 on both sides. Minus 4 equals 0. Using this, go ahead and substitute into the formula using your a, your b, and your c. Let's see what you get for this problem. Go ahead and pause it here before you're ready to check your answers. You're going to notice that your answer for this problem, you get 2 fractions. So So what ends up happening here is that you get 121, which is 11. But when we add 5 plus 11, we get 16, and 16 over 12 is 4/3. That's okay. You might get fractions here because it happens again and gives you 1/2 here. Let's try one where your final answer, you end up with radicals. Let's try number 5 right on this page. Here is my C, my B, and my A. So again, we're going to have x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Writing it over and over again is going to help you memorize it. So I get negative 4 plus or minus square root of 4 squared. If you already know that, you can go ahead and write 16 immediately here. You can start to kind of combine steps. Times 1 times c, which is just negative 4 times 1 times 1, which is negative 4. If you start seeing that you can start combining things, go ahead and do that. It'll save you some time. And then 2 times a is just 2 because it's 2 times 1, which is 2. So now I get negative 4 plus or minus the square root of, over here, this is the square root of 12 all over 2. Now 12 can be simplified into radical form. So I get negative 4 over 2. So yes, it's in radical form already, but let's reduce it a little bit more. The 4 times 3, right? This is the square root of 4 times 3. And then we get square root of 4 times square root of 3, which is 2 root 3. We are not done. We notice, since there's an addition and subtraction sign in the middle, you can simplify these. So let's split these up just so you can see it better visually. Negative 4 plus 2 root 3 all over 2, and negative 4 minus 2 root 3 over 2. Take a look at these. What do they have in common? You can simplify all of those by 2. So we get negative 2 plus root 3. Same thing here. This becomes a negative 2 minus root 3. So if I didn't separate it, I could have noticed it from here. As my final answer becomes negative 2 plus minus root 3. If you separate them like this and this, that's okay too. The main thing is really practicing to reduce it so you get a simplified form. I want you to try number 6. I'm going to leave number 5 here on the screen for you. Go ahead and pause the video as you try number 6. Now that you've tried number 6, you'll see that this is your answer. I know these are tough. You're going to want to practice on this page. So go ahead and pause the video before I display the answers to the rest of this page. I'm going to display the top and then the bottom. Now that you've practiced on this page, here are the answers for numbers 1 through 4. You can pause the video. And here are the answers for numbers 5 through 8. You can pause the video. You're going to want to continue to practice. As you can see, there's tons and tons and tons of practice for you here. So just be careful when you're practicing these that you're making no calculation errors, which I know is tough. There's tons of practice. Continue to practice and memorize this formula before we get to yes word problems.